So, what if there's something about relationships that you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called Brave Families. You guys, I got to share the cover before we start because it is brilliant. Brave Families, the ultimate guide to long-lasting, loving relationships. Lead author Jean Voice Dart. We love you, Jean. We're so grateful to you for gathering this brilliant cast of co-authors together. And I have to shout out Davide De Angelis for this gorgeous cover art, you guys. Oh my gosh. We really love to collaborate, and we like to collaborate with our authors and our artists and our designers. And oh my gosh, this book is so amazing. I've got some pretty cool people in my Zoom room today. Maria Fider is the social media manager of the Wellness Universe, and she's pursuing a degree in integrative health and wellness coaching. Kathy Kwiatkowski is a facilitator of multidimensional healing and the author of Stand in Your Brilliance. And Sarah Jane is with us. She's a founder of Gift of Healing TV, a live weekly online program, and creator of Vocal Reiki. Oh my goodness, you guys, this book. Thank you. Thank you for being in this project, for saying yes, for these brilliant, brilliant chapters. These are world changing. Maria, I'd like to start with you. So tell us a little bit of the why behind the chapter that you wrote.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Well, my chapter is chapter 14, Rewriting the Story of Sibling Disconnection, 5 Tools for Honest and Loving Expression. And honestly, this story really just wrote itself through me. And the why that poured through was that I believe that relationships are two-sided. And I had to recognize that I had to take accountability for the ways in which I was creating unhealthy dynamics in my own relationship. And so when I recognized that the communication and the the stuff that was going on in my sibling relationship was partly on me, then I had to take accountability, choose to change the things internally that were going on so that I could heal my relationship. And so I really just want to bring that message to other people that partly it's your work, partly it's the other person's work, but it's really a two-sided street.
Oh my gosh. So this is why I call you all badasses, because it takes something to take responsibility for your own side of things in life, in the world, in terms of awareness. Like this doesn't, usually it takes a minute to develop that kind of awareness. And Maria, it's kind of other level. And your topic resonated with me quite a bit. I thought a lot about my sister and just um, the dynamic over the years, the way that things have changed over the years. What do you think you want people to know if they are feeling like there's a bit of a struggle?
Yeah. I think that it absolutely can get easier with time, but the most important thing is to recognize the triggers that are coming up in the relationship. What's the emotion that's being sparked in you? And what's the inner child in you asking for to be healed? Because your sibling has a way to spark and trigger that emotion that no other people in the world can, right? And so often when we recognize that we have stories that are being repeated from childhood wounds, and we could acknowledge that we're repeating that story throughout our lives, when we can look at that, acknowledge the emotion that's coming up, and go back and sit with the inner child that felt that hurt, and be present with it, to allow that emotion to be moved through, processed, so that the story can not continue to be repeated. And I think that communication is such an important thing, and first of all, being present and recognizing what's going on internally and then going and having a heart to heart with your sibling and just being honest and upfront and saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. And something that, is hurting internally about the way that you're treating me or you're making me feel, I want to shift this. I want to move through it. And so I think that really just open communication, being present and acknowledging what's coming up gives it space and breath to be moved through and transmuted.
There's so much healing in this, in in your topic, your chapter, gosh, the whole book. Maria, thank you for being a part of this project, for being here today.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Kathy, I'm going to move to you. Tell us a little bit of about your why for your chapter.
Sure. So my chapter is chapter 17, and it's the courage to partner with your soul, living the mission you came here to fulfill. So I love listening to Maria because for 25 years, I did that kind of helped people with that kind of work as a mental health counselor. Um, and then in the last 12 years, there was a shift for me where I got more in touch with the metaphysical aspect of who we are. And it completely changed my life and the work that I do with people. And so I wrote about this because I truly believe that the most important loving relationship you can have is with your soul or your spirit, however you think of that. Because as you are really connected to the wholeness of who you are, it changes your come from, it changes how you go through the world, and it helps all the human struggle to make more sense.
Okay, so if somebody's listening and they are really like, Kathy, what do you mean? Like, how do I even start having a relationship with my soul? What would be first tiny baby step? What would you say?
Well, it's not as out there as you would think. So when we meditate and our mind gets really calm, or at least somewhat calm, there's an energy there that feels different than the energy of your mind. And that energy holds really wonderful energies like peace and calm and a knowing of your true value and worth. And so you can relate to it as an energy, or you can relate to it as like, this is part of me. So in psychology, we work with different parts, like the part that's creative, the part that feels protective. Well, think of your soul as the broader part of you that is always there supporting you. Depending on your beliefs, you might think of it as your angels, your guardian angels, because there's an aspect of that to it. But it's an energy that holds you and gives you a sense of everything's going to be okay.
I like thinking about it as energy and getting people started, even just pondering what that is and how it feels, and discernment. Oh, you guys, I mean, discernment is a ninja move of awareness. Right. And so this stuff is big potato stuff to me. Like, this kind of stuff we're talking about will change a life. Kathy, thank you also for saying yes, for being here, for your brilliant chapter.
You're welcome. It was really a joy to write the story. And of course, whenever you write something, it's also healing you along the way too. So there's so much that happens, even for the writer.
Yes. Okay. Don't get me started on that one, Kathy, because we'll be here for like 3 more hours. I'm so happy that you mentioned that, though. I mean, that's essentially the reason I publish people's work and try to help people come into this world. That is the reason, because of the change that we're making in ourselves as we move through that process. So thank you for mentioning it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sarah Jane, tell us about the why behind your chapter.
I initially had no idea when Jean asked me to participate what I was going to write. And it was only sort of like a few days that suddenly it popped into my mind. It's generational. And asking Mum to share as much as she could about her mother's story, but also her story when she was so young during the Second World War. And then asking Mum to share her story. And my youngest sister and myself recorded those conversations. So we've got them to transcribe and share with the family. It became so empowering to Mum. Do we know our parents as people? We just know them as our parents or as our siblings, as grandparents. And I've really got the sense, and my youngest sister has said this very strongly as well, she has potentially grown a little, if you like, because she feels seen, listened to, and heard as a person within her family, rather than just a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. We are all those different people within our families. Me, I'm an aunt, a great aunt, sort of, and a sister, a daughter. With those, yes. But who are we when we're outside of our families? And our families don't know us as that person. And so it became important to me to be able to share what best I could, because I can't talk to Grandma anymore. She's been gone quite a while. Talk to my mother about my grandmother and learn about the stoicism that those generations had to go through. And that comes down the generations. And not in the book, but my great-grandmother actually was out in India on the northwest frontier back in the early 1900s. That's when travel wasn't as easy as it is today. And that's where she had my grandmother, out in India. What did she go through? What did the generations before go through? And I think that can be so empowering to those of us today. When we share, we can learn about that story. So my hope is that people will talk to their older generations, male and female. I just have the females I can, or the one mother I can speak to.
Oh my gosh. Yes to everything. And I have the great honor that my mom is alive and well, and she's been writing and sharing stories, and what a gift that's been. You're making me wonder. I think a lot about my kids, and I think about this topic. It's like, do they even really know who I am behind all this stuff? And of course, because I'm a writer, I've been sharing stories, but kids of a certain age may or may not read anything until they're like later in adulthood, right? So there's this place where it kind of hits you depending on your maturity level, your age, the things you've been through. Gosh, I need to know more about my mom. I need to know more about these people that, that raised me. If somebody was going to start that process now, what's a great opener question? How would you have them start the interview, so to speak?
I think with Mum, we just asked her to share when it came to asking her about the Second World War. She was only 2 when it broke out. So she's got vague memories, but it was just saying, what can you remember? What can you share about what Grandma would have gone through? And she's told us lots of things about great grandma and going generations back, but it's lovely to hear that the stories about what they went through. Some of it we knew, but there's been things we've learned that we really didn't know. And that was the important thing. It's and open and ask them to share from their perspective.
Yeah, and giving them a chance to actually think about it and share about it might pull out some detail they didn't even realize, and it bubbles up and it's, I don't know, it feels like a treasure hunt, and you found the box of treasure, and they tell these stories like, whoa, what, you know. I love this topic, Sarah Jane. Thank you so much for being in this project and bringing your brilliance to this book.
Thank you for doing what you do so that we can.
It is my absolute pleasure. All right. Here's a question. So awareness is my favorite topic ever. I think awareness is everything. Transformation, it doesn't matter what relationship we're talking about, takes awareness. With the awareness, we get a choice. That's pretty amazing when you think about that short statement. So, Kathy, when it comes to your family and your relationships, what has been your practice of awareness? Like, what's that looked like inside of those dynamics? Give us a little taste.
So it looks like a lot of sacred pauses, to be perfectly honest. And what I mean by that is when we're operating from our human aspect, we can tend to be more reactive. And when you use the word awareness, I instantly think about, well, if I'm using awareness, I'm expanding out into the energy of my wholeness. And that part of me feels completely lovable and capable and good enough. And all of the types of things that our human aspect can struggle with. And when our human aspect struggles with that, we tend to be more reactive in dynamics rather than loving and gracious and forgiving. So if something is happening in the family dynamics and I feel some contraction in my energy, that's my sign to take a deep breath and let my awareness expand, and in that moment bring through more of my soul aspect that's loving and gracious. Do I do that every time? No, because I'm human, right? And so the other aspect of that is of awareness is recognizing when I'm humaning and taking responsibility for that and just saying to whoever it is, okay, I'm humaning right now. I need a minute. I need a minute to find my more expansive aspects so that I can deal with this more gracefully and more lovingly.
Yes, that's incredible awareness. Oh, I hope I'm going to just talk to our listeners for a minute. You're hearing golden nuggets right now, like little pauses like Kathy is talking about, little moments where you say, am I really coming at this with my full awesome whole self, like the real me, authenticity kind of moving through my pores. Um yeah, that changes everything. It changes every interaction that you have. Thank you for that, Kathy. Sarah Jane, I'm going to move to you for the same question. Like when you're thinking about how you move through your relationships and the awareness that you bring to the table, what does that look like for you?
Listening. And there's a saying, isn't there? Something, it's listen to understand, not to reply. And it is so important. And we've definitely had this thing throughout decades within the family where people are getting interrupted before they've even finished what they're saying. And my mother is the worst at that. She really is. But it's realizing we have to unlearn that learned behavior. And so there are lots of times when I'm actually really quiet because I'm trying to listen to understand rather than, oh, I've got to reply to that when I haven't listened to the whole thing. If you don't listen to the whole thing, you haven't got the full information. And my youngest sister is is pretty good at doing that. My middle sister is put upon no end, bless her cotton socks, and she lets people do that. We're trying to encourage that of her as well. But it's also that learning to say no. Saying no to, whether it's family or friends, doesn't matter. If something doesn't resonate with you, and I did this on one occasion, and it's given the rest of the family now permission to say no. We might not like hearing that no, but we're not helping each other by constantly saying yes. So it's the truth to ourselves, but it's also trying to understand the truths of each other. That's what I find, and it's making a difference. And this listening to mum, but my sisters and I have also had a conversation with just the three of us, and you'd think we've been brought up in different families. Because our understandings and our perceptions of what happened within our own childhoods was very different, is very different. So listening's the important thing.
Yes, it is. That will change dynamics in an instant. Yeah. Really, really important. You're making me think of something too. There have been times where I was brave enough to say, "Hey, you just interrupted me. Could you pause that for a second and let me finish my thought?" Or, trying to come up with some good way to say that so that the person is aware they're interrupting. And that can be hard, right? Like that's hard. Yes, but we can get better at that. So, okay, Maria, I'm going to come to you with the awareness question. When you're looking at this day-to-day practice and how you're coming to your relationships with awareness, what do you want to add to this?
Yeah, well, this is already a fabulous conversation. I love both of your answers, and I absolutely would agree with what you're saying. And I think that, really awareness is presence. And so when we are living in the past, when we're focused on the future, when those emotions are hiked and we're reacting from a place that's not in integrity with our heart spaces, then that's how we cause arguments in our relationships, and things can spiral out of control. And so I really think that awareness starts with getting out of your head, getting out of your ego, and getting into your heart space and asking, what does love need right now? What is love asking of me? What is the way that I'm being called to show up in love right now for my relationship, for myself? And I think really just moving into that presence of what is happening in the now moment helps you just, not be reactive, like Kathy had said.
Oh, don't you guys feel that one? How
I
can I
love the
right?
what does love need? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's golden, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we need to, like Kathy said earlier, take the pause. And then even when Sarah Jane was talking about listening, we have to listen to our own heart. We have to come here first, right? And then, yes, Maria, I love it. So to the three of you, huge gratitude. You took on my challenge of bringing a vulnerable story to this book. Thank you for doing that. And then our authors are stepping up in the second part of these chapters with practical tools, strategies, exercises. They're going to walk you through an experience, which again, it's quite a thing to y'all do it all day long. You help people and you coach them and you do this or you do that, but it's another thing to get it in black and white on the page in a way that the reader can have an experience. And if you guys are Esther Hicks fans, she said, words don't teach, experiences do. And that's why those sections are so important to me and the way that we bring this work into the world. Thank you for doing that. You put your master teachings on those pages. This is good, good stuff. And I want to give all of you another chance now in this last question to really address that piece, right? The work that you do, the tool that you are teaching in the book. So, Sarah Jane, I'm going to start with you. What's the most important thing you want us to know about? And I'm using their book titles for this question so that you'll hear some of it. But learning about the past to bring healing to the now. You talk about 3 generations of women. I like this one, gives me goosebumps, Sarah Jane. So, what do you want us to know?
Bless you. Thank you, Laura. In some respects, I've covered it. It's talk to the generations. You know, the children of today, oh, we're not being listened to, we're not being heard. Well, actually, neither are the grandparents and the great-grandparents. And the parents, it works through all the generations. I wish I'd been able to talk more to my grandmother. I could have learned so much more from her and the things that she went through. Those things that shaped her daughter, my mother, those things that shaped my mother, and the things that my mother did that have shaped myself and my sisters. And if you're a son with a father and a grandfather, because it's the generational thing. And if there's something going on within the generations that could really do with being grown beyond, let's put it nicely, shall we? That's how we can do it, by understanding the root of that. Because our generations go back not just into the 1900s, the 1800s, the 1700s, the 1600s. They go back for generations and generations. Life has changed. What my mother went through as a 2-year-old, my grandmother had gone through in the First World War. As an 8 or 9-year-old, or however old she was. What their experiences. We haven't had those experiences, but those experiences shaped them. How my grandmother was shaped my mother. If we listen and we come to understand, because my mother appears to be so different outside of the family, but she can be so disruptive in it. And she's 88, can we, before it's too late, support that within the family to grow beyond that? And I believe having these conversations, learning, and if you can record them so that they can be transcribed, you don't have to transcribe them, there's technology that does that these days. Then you've got a recorded history with their voice. And if you've done it on video, then there is a video that people can watch. I haven't got that for my grandmother. I haven't even really got that for my father. So we can help leave a legacy for the youngsters to come.
Yes, we can. This is legacy work right here that Sarah Jane's talking about. It's part of why it gives me the goosebumps. There were people that passed in my family where now later as an adult, I wish I had thought of this, and darn it, I didn't. And so if you're hearing this and you've been, and you still have a chance, go put it on your to-do list for tomorrow morning. Like start it up. Sarah Jane, thank you. Thank you for your beautiful work. Maria, what's the most important thing you want us to know about rewriting the story of sibling disconnection?
Yeah. I really, really think that being able to acknowledge, again, like I said, that two-sided street, and being present with your sibling, asking that question about love, like what what is needing to be healed right now, and taking out the blame of the dynamic, because I think it's so easy for us to point fingers and you did this and you said this and it's your fault. And when we recognize that, we're two human beings in a relationship with two different perspectives and different life stories, and both people in a relationship both just want to be heard and want to be acknowledged and want to be seen and want to be loved. And so back to Sarah Jane saying about, listening to people and truly getting down to the meat of like what is needing to be expressed in a relationship. And so I think when we can take away the layers of noise that have this egoic story going on, and we get down to the love, like what do you need from me in this relationship? How do you need me to show up in our relationship in order for it to heal? And I think that when I was able to recognize that within myself, what did I need from my sister? And then give it to myself, like, oh, all right, I needed attention. I needed approval. I needed to feel heard by her. I needed to feel like I mattered. And so when I started giving that to myself, then I stopped feeling like it was lacking. And I was able to actually have a conversation and say, I want you to show up for me like this. And I want to feel like I matter around you. And then we got to sit down and she would say, well, I need you to show up for me like this. And I need you to not react the way you do and get so angry. So again, getting out of your head, getting out of that, victim or blaming story, and getting into your heart space and really just like, how can I bring love to the situation? I think that would be my main wisdom to share.
I'm pretty sure that you're talking about the portal to world peace right now, Maria. So
Yes.
everyone,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope you're
Absolutely.
listening. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
within, so
vulnerable.
without.
Yep. It's vulnerable to be in your heart space, and people will have to feel that in their body and get over that feeling that doesn't feel so good, and understand that who said, Kathy, I think, humaning, like when we get back to that place and realize. But these topics, they're, yeah, this is amazing. Kathy, I want to give you a chance now too. What's the most important thing you want us to know about the courage to partner with your soul?
I have so many thoughts going on right now
I
because of
know.
everything that has been said. It's like, could I have another half hour?
I know
Um,
it.
so first off, you're always supported. When we're in our human aspect, there are a lot of times when we can feel kind of on our own and like we don't have the support we need in terms of, people responding to us in a loving and gracious way. And that was my life story. And so when I had my awakening and realized, wait a minute, I'm not doing any of this by myself. That love that comes through our heart space, that's not our human aspect. That's our broader aspect that holds the energy of love that expresses itself through our human. And that changed the game for me because it's like, oh, I don't have to like figure out how to be more loving and gracious. I just need to tap into the part of me that is that and be that in the world. So, my grand vision, Laura, you just said it. You said, well, that's world peace right there. My grand vision is that when we are living from our spirit, and it takes courage to do that because it means you're going to step out of all of that chatter from your history, and also for me, living from my spirit means I've cleared out everything in my energy from all my ancestry and all their wounding, my ancestors that were in wars and all of that. When I've cleared all of that out, it's so much more easier to live from that place. The energy you bring to the planet will change the planet. I mean, it's really about changing all of humanity by bringing a different energy and shining that out in every single relationship, of which, of course, your intimate family is the hardest place, right? Always the hardest place. But um, actually, starting with yourself, then your family, then everybody else. And if that's your practice, I'm going to start every morning with giving myself all the love that I know I deserve, and then being that to my family, and then letting that ripple out. That's how we change the planet.
And that is a fabulous place to wrap up, because this book, Brave Families, oh my goodness, Brave Families, the ultimate guide to long-lasting, loving relationships and world peace. I don't know. I think we should put that on the end. Oh my goodness, Kathy, Maria, Sarah Jane, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today. You guys, this is so much more than a book. This is a very generous community. And so if you heard something today that's given you the goosebumps, or you've got a question, or you just want to carry on the conversation, whatever it is, need support, come on down into the show notes. I have all of our authors hooked up there with their websites and links. Please go explore what they're up to. It is world-changing work, and they're there. They're ready to answer a question and give that support. We'd also love for you to go grab your personal copy of this book, and the link below will help you do that. Lastly, everyone, remember, your words will change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.